How much does probate cost in Sacramento County? We get into that right now. Welcome back to the channel featuring the leading probate real estate team in the greater Sacramento region. I'm Brendan Moore, Realtor and Certified Probate and Trust Specialist by the California Association of Realtors.
And I'm Bill Heyman. I'm a licensed California professional fiduciary. I'm also a registered and bonded California legal document assistant, specializing in uncontested probate work, as well as I'm a licensed California real estate broker.
Now, please like this video, subscribe right now. Want your probate done for no fee? Well, every day we help people save thousands of dollars and eliminate headaches with our cost savings probate administration service and real estate listing combo. So if it's in California and real estate needs to be sold, reach out to us. Our info is in the About section on this channel. We love your calls, texts, emails, and comments. Now let's get into it. Okay, so how much does probate cost in Sacramento County? So we get through the fees from different types of services and the general costs that come up in probate. So maybe a place to really start here is really who you hire to probate the estate. And there's really three different options, right? And I would say a lot of people rush out to the first option. They think because probate is a legal process, they rush out to hire an attorney. Maybe just Google probate attorneys. And I warn you, not every person that comes up as a probate attorney has actually done a whole lot of probates. In my experience, there's a lot of great ones out there, but there's other ones that you have to do some research. But what a lot of people think is that it's some sort of complicated process. Well, I mean, probate is a complicated process, but it's not a process where you're in front of the judge making arguments and there's a lot of gabble.
Especially if it's an uncontested situation where the family doesn't want to fight. All they want to do is get the process completed. And in that case, you don't have to have an attorney to do that.
It's usually just a process with very little court intervention whatsoever. Now, really, anyone can probate the estate. You watching this can actually file a petition to probate an estate and do it all yourself. Now, so the first option, hire an attorney. Okay, so that's actually kind of a medium difficulty. I'll rank these as far as difficulty goes, and it really just depends. It definitely helps to hire a professional, but there's also sort of communication factors that maybe aren't always there. I get a lot of complaints about that. Can't get a hold of my attorney, and a number of other things. And I'll have you talk about that in a minute. But a common misconception is that an attorney is required. It is not. I think that in a contested situation, you should consult an attorney. And if you ever feel like you need legal advice, you should.
Yeah, anytime whether it's a contested situation or uncontested, you're right. Especially if it's contested, you absolutely need to consult with an attorney. But if it's uncontested and you have legal questions, sure, go to an attorney and ask. That's what you have to do.
Now, a big downside is it is the most expensive option. The attorney's statutory fee is set in the probate code, and you can look that up. It's a little bit complex as far as percentages go, so just do a quick search up for the California probate statutory fee, and you'll find that's what an attorney is going to charge, plus probably extraordinary fees.
There can be often, especially if there's a probate sale of a home, they often will charge some extraordinary fee for that.
That's not always the shortest and smoothest option. There just tends to drag out longer than you might want, and it's a misconception that it's the fastest process.
Right. Right. How fast your probate moves along it's really almost completely dependent on the probate professional, whether it's an attorney, whether it's a service like we provide, or you're doing it yourself. Usually, that's the sticking point on how fast the probate moves along, is how good of a probate professional you have.
Yeah, and of course part of it is the court calendar, but there's averages for how long a probate takes, and you typically get them done 9 to 12 months, depending on the county.
Yeah, that's average.
We've had actually clients come to us who were working with an attorney who were in probate for 5 years, longer, wild stuff. It's also not always the best option when there's real estate involved, and that tends to be that in the attorney world, they get continuances, everything's really drawn out. In the real estate world, real estate contracts are over a very short period of time. Once an offer is accepted, you have very limited time to get things done. And those two worlds don't always coincide. So it really depends on the communication with that particular attorney. Now, the next option is an option that we definitely see people try.
Mm-hmm.
It's called pro per.
Right.
What would you rank the difficulty on that, Bill?
If you're trying to do pro per, means doing it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're trying to do a probate yourself and you've never done it before, I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the hardest, 1 the easiest, probably looking at about a 15.
And we go through, on some of our previous videos, Bill actually goes through what's called the probate notes of pro per cases, and it didn't take you long to find them. It's basically the first one you look up in the on the court calendar, and it's just this long list of corrections that have to happen, which means another hearing,
Delays.
Yeah, delays, and that increased costs.
And one other thing on that, a lot of people who try to do it themselves think that the court is going to make all the corrections for you, and they won't. The court will simply tell you what corrections need to be made, but then you have to go out and figure out, how do I make these corrections? The court's not there to correct your mistakes. You have to do that.
There's a huge learning curve on it, and it can be a huge headache.
Yeah.
It just often takes much longer and results in failure. And then hiring a professional, we get that frequently.
Yeah.
Pro per is coming to us saying, "Hey, can you finish this one up for me?" And you're practically starting it over a lot of the times.
Yep.
Now, the third option is a non-attorney probate administration service, which is what Bill does. And there's other services too. Bill's is very unique though, because of the low cost involved and really the speed and smoothness of everything. I would often call that the fastest process and really the lowest headache. And I think it's because it's really in your best interest, as it's in the estate's best interest to get through the process very quickly and smoothly.
As fast as possible.
Would you like to go through and talk about why your particular service is
Sure.
lower cost?
Sure, absolutely. First of all, as people may know from our introduction, I'm a licensed California professional fiduciary, and also I've registered and bonded legal document assistant. And I've been specializing in uncontested probate work for 40 years now. I do a lot of probate work for families, quote, in pro per, and I also have done a lot of work for attorneys in contract work, probate attorneys. But essentially what my service is, I simply do all the paperwork for you, prepare all the forms and documents for you, file everything with the court, do all the legwork. Essentially all you really have to do is I send you forms, you review them, sign them, send them back to me, I'll get them all filed with the court. It's very likely that you'll never ever have to make a court appearance unless you want to. And we get through the process and complete it as soon as possible.
Yeah, there's a reason why we're the leading probate real estate team in the general Sacramento area.
Yeah.
How many probates have you probated? Over 3,000, something
gosh.
like that? Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes we tell people, gosh, it's so hard to give people money or to give money away because it's like people say, oh, this is too good to be true. And the combination of the communication between Bill and I and the rest of our team is so great that we just get it done fast. But that is one of the, probably in a way, the lowest cost option.
Yeah, it's probably your lowest cost and lowest headache option of all three.
Because really time is money, and if you're doing pro per and you're bumping around in that world and taking years, it's actually going to cost you more. Maybe just holding costs, deferred maintenance, if there's real estate involved, that kind of thing. Now, there's additional costs in probate, so that's on the service part. Attorney, high cost, pro per, no cost, but could actually end up costing you in other ways, and probate, non-attorney probate administration service like what Bill does, but there's other costs.
Yeah, there are other costs involved in probate, which no matter which way you go through it, whether it's through an attorney, you do it yourself, or you go through a service like ours, there's what I call third-party probate costs. These are things such as court filing fees. And typically in a probate case, uncontested, you're going to have two hearings, one at the beginning and one at the end. And the court charges a filing fee for each hearing, and currently that's $435. So total court filing fees are normally $870. The next fee you're going to run into is the newspaper publication fee. You always have to publish in the newspaper at least one time during the probate, a special probate notice at the beginning of the probate. And depending on what newspaper you use in Sacramento County, that could run you anywhere from $150 to $800 or $900. So there's a huge wide range in there. And I've often had people come to me who've started the probate, they haven't published yet, and they've tried to get set up with the most expensive newspaper to do it. And that's around the $900 range. And I'll come back and help them find a much more reasonable publication and save them a good chunk of money right there. The other fees you're going to run into is during a probate sale of a home, during probate, you're going to have some court copy and certification fees that the title company is going to need. Typically, those will range anywhere from about $80 to $150. Nothing excessive, but it is a little cost. You will have what's called a probate referee's fee. A probate referee is nothing more than a court-appointed appraiser who will appraise the probate home and perhaps some other estate assets as to what they were worth on the date that your loved one passed away. And that's his or her job. And they charge a fee for that. It's 1/10% of the value that he appraises. An easy way to do it is, let's say the estate he appraises is $400,000. His fee will be $400 and some change. The other thing you got to be a little bit concerned about, you may get creditors' claims filed during the probate process. For example, if mom or dad passed away and they owed on some credit cards, or they had a personal loan out there, something like that, those creditors may file a creditor's claim with the court, and if they do, that has to be addressed. I've worked on those many, many times, and a lot of times we negotiate down the amount owed. So for example, it's a $10,000 credit card, we can often negotiate down to $2,000 or $3,000 instead of the $10,000. So creditors' claims may or may not pop up. One though that, and this reflects back to the need to, if you're going to sell a probate home, get the probate going ASAP, don't wait. Property taxes. There will always be what's called supplemental property taxes that will be due on a probate home that's sold. And the county tax assessor, Sacramento County tax assessor, but any assessor for any county, what they're going to do is, whatever the date your loved one passed, from that date forward to the sale of the house, they're going to reappraise the house as of the date that your loved one passed, and there'll be some property taxes due for that time period. Now, if you sell that probate home relatively quickly after your mom or dad passes away, those supplemental property taxes will be not bad. But if you procrastinate and wait 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years before you probate, my gosh, you're going to have a supplemental property tax bill that is a lot of money, and it's going to take a huge chunk of the estate away from the heirs. So that's something you have to be concerned with. Lastly, there might be some income tax issues that need to be addressed. For example, if mom or dad passed away and they didn't file the last couple years of income taxes, and if they should have, you got to get those taken care of. So you may have something to pay on those. But if mom or dad were current on their income taxes, or maybe they didn't earn enough where they had to file taxes, you're okay then. You don't have to worry about that. But those are just some of the third-party fees and costs that come up during probate that, again, they're not the probate professional's fees. They're third-party fees that anybody who goes through probate has got to take care of. And that's it. Those are the basic fees.
And then, of course, if there's real estate involved, there's going to be a real estate fee. And I highly recommend you hire a realtor who knows probate front and back. It's just a more complex process when it comes to probate. And of course, with Bill's service, that's actually a part of how his service works, where you're actually saving a lot of money between the cost of probating the estate and the real estate fees.
Yeah, when you use our service and combine the probate with the real estate sale, you save a lot of money.
It's thousands and thousands of dollars. Yeah. And I actually don't know of another service who does it, and which is really the huge reason why we do so many estates in this general region, 2 to 3 hours away from here. You do them all over the state, actually.
But a lot in Sacramento.
A lot in Sacramento. So there you have it. You have the 3 different ways to hire somebody to probate the estate. You have the third-party fees. You have the real estate portion as well. And you could probably do some sort of a rough calculation of what that would be. And of course, you really want to save some money and save yourself some headaches, please just give us a call. I love the calls, but emails and texts are great too, but it tends to be a long conversation. So give us a call. Our information's on the channel. What you really want to know is how to hire a probate realtor. It's crucial, absolutely crucial that you hire the right realtor. So this next video I have coming up is called How to Hire a Probate Realtor. It gives 10 interview questions and the appropriate answers on our video. Plus, there's a downloadable list of all those questions with the appropriate answers and an additional 5 questions I don't even talk about in the video. It's so valuable. It's probably one of the most valuable things that you can get from our channel. It's going to be linked next. Click on it. It's going to appear right over Bill's face.